Hi guys, hi guys. I'm on Mars, and I went to where's it gone? I went to Google Maps, space Mars. This is the address. Here, and so this is what I found. I looked around. I looked around at other areas, and you look closely, and you look at the formation. The formation of. I mean, just look at the texture of the landscape. Now, if you look closer, I think Google and the rest of the guys have marked this with a purple and certain areas with a blue. So if we go a little bit closer, we notice all this is liquid, you know. And how could you say that? Because you see, water creates a pattern like this, and you can see the reflection. The wind reflection. So there is liquid, and the wind is creating these patterns. The wind is creating these patterns. I mean, if you look at any shallow area, you will notice. And also at the edges of the walls of this water body, you can see the sun reflecting, and you can see the shallow part over here. But this is all liquid, and it's just crazy. I mean, it's a great shot, and thanks to Google for all of this. Yes, everyone is looking at the Mars base. Like there's a base on Mars. Now, since we only know everything that is familiar to us, like circles and squares, and familiar shapes we've grown up with, I'd like to see an interesting phenomena over here. See, water creates a pattern, like a channel of its own. You see, it creates like this beautiful pattern. Water is just amazing. It just creates this beautiful pattern. Now, how could water get here? Just like on Earth, how did water get here? Has to be because of an asteroid, because they're actually huge rocks of basically what, ice. So once they bang in here, and on the planet, and then it melts in time, and then it creates its own path, its own habitat. For example, like it creates its own cozy place. Now, if you notice, it's been quite some time that this water is here, quite some time. And so what's interesting here is there's these little formations. Now, if you look to the right over here, it says 200 meter. That's the size, 200 meters. So 200 meters across, and let's look at it. It's a unique, you could say, habitat. It's a habitat formation. If anyone who has studied marine biology will know that, shells create a pattern, or any living creatures create a pattern. And this is awesome. If you look at it, it's an awesome pattern, and one should look into more. I hope people could tell us more about it. And I don't have a stand for my phone camera. I'm recording this from my phone camera. It's a Samsung J2. It's a simple phone. And if you look at it, that below the water surface, you can see this pattern. And it's not only here. This pattern, there are very few in this area. Let's check, why the hell is this not working? Yeah, it's working. So this pattern is here, the one we just saw, and there are few, with boundary walls here, here. So it's a unique patterns, like that's not made, by an external force. It's usually made from within, from within. And it's interesting that you have the walls of the water over here. The walls of the water. This is the exposed to the light, the surface, the wind, the atmosphere. Then you go down, it's a shallow part. The walls of the water, you can see the reflection of the waves over here. This is the reflection of the waves, and the reflection of the waves. And as you go down, you go towards the center, and you see these little, you could say, formations. Now, if it's an external force, the formations would be say like this or this, like a meteor or an external force. But these look like they are from within, like they've been formed over time within. Now, what's a liquid? I don't know. No one knows anything, because we are only dished out information that they give us, and we're only allowed to zoom in this much. Now, where is this on Mars? If you look at it, this is in this area called where the hell is it gone? Hellas. It's an overexposed area because of the sun, or I don't know what. I think the images are clicked in little strips. I think when the satellite passes across, it clicks an image. So if you look at it, where the hell is that? Yeah. So you have, this is the, here it says Hellas, right? And it's pretty bright in this area. Now, if you look at this area, Hellas, this is the patch. You just remember this design. Yeah, this is the patch, and on this patch there are two small strips, one here, and we've been looking at this one. We haven't taken a look at this one. Okay, and there are rivers here. If you really look at it closely, there are rivers here. This is at 200 kilometers. 200 kilometer focus. 200 kilometers. Yes. That's the distance. That one crater is 200 kilometers wide. And so we were here. You can see where the cursor is pointing. We were here. We can even look at this guy here, this little patch here, and let's go in. This is on Mars, by the way, and you notice again how water creates a very smooth pattern. Let's look at this a little differently. We see this pattern, so it has to be extending from here and elsewhere. From here, this pattern from here, and then you can see the river taking a turn. Let's go in. Like I showed you earlier, there's a purple patch. Why is it purple? I don't know what they coded it for, but it's a purple patch, and yes, it is water. It is a liquid. It has to be water because only water can land on any planet through meteors and through, what do you call them, asteroids. So this is at, say, this is around 500 meters wide. Let's take a look at the water. Yeah, so you can see the waves from here, from this side. These are all wind patterns. Basically, only wind can create waves. Only wind can create this little surface, texture of water. Only wind does that. And it's been some time. Therefore, through time, it has created all of this. Through time. It's just awesome. So there is liquid on Mars. Wonder why people say, or whoever said that men are from Mars. I don't know. So yeah, it's really awesome. I've been doing some research on rivers and restoration on rivers, and hence understood river patterns and why water is alive, and only water makes these marks. And if you look at Victor Schauberger's comments and discoveries, he said that water is alive, and Dr. Emoto also pointed out how water is alive, and hence it moves, it creates its own habitat, its own environment, you know. So looking at things differently, yeah, let's not look for aliens and all of that. They obviously do exist, but let's not look at established images in our minds. Let's look at it differently. It has to be all new, right? It has to be all new. But all the elements in the solar system and the galaxies are made of the same stuff. It's the same stuff. Maybe something in our periodic table we lack, and yeah, so it's just awesome. Let's just go inside through this crater. Wow, I mean, you can see waves. This is at 200 meters. This is 200 meters wide. This to here, that's 200 meters wide. I mean, I'm just pointing at what's below here. I don't want to shift because my phone's going out of focus every time. So these are layers of rock, waves. This is water in motion. Let me show it to you closely. I got some crazy internet speed. Yes, this is water in motion. 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 This is the bed of the surface below the water bed, and this is pure water in motion. It's amazing. It's really amazing. And yes, this is a still image. I live in a coastal area, so I mean, I really know. I mean, since childhood, I've been in the water and in the beach, and I know for sure how water looks. And this is definitely water in motion. This is a still image. Now notice again, we are at the blue patch. Now all this is underwater. How do we know that this is underwater? Okay, you can look at the patterns formed by the flow of the wind from the surface. It obviously affects the bottom, what do you call it? Yeah, the waterbed. And let's look at another area. This is one patch. Let's look at the area that the link sent me to. There is it. Let's go back to the link and press enter. Anyway, so basically I'm in India, and with our connections, internet connections, so it's not so great. This is one patch that has been covered. A patch that has been covered. I mean, obviously the creators who gave us access to this information has decided to cover certain areas. Excuse the shakiness, please. I think you guys, some of you can do a better job at this, but so this link took us directly to the base in Mars. So there's a base in Mars, and on Mars, sorry. And let's go slowly in because of my internet connection. These are solar panels. Let me put my finger in the frame. These are solar panels. There's a grid over here. Okay, let me take you closer. Okay, so these solar panels take power to the grid, distribute it from here and send it to this house over here, whatever workshop or whatever. Similarly, these take the power. Here you can see the power lines. I'll just zoom in. Yeah, I hope you can see the power lines that go straight to here and distributed, and it goes here. Similarly, you have a grid over here that takes the power lines and distributes it over here. You can see some towers and their shadows. Since the sun is coming from this side, I mean this is the sun, the shadows on this side, to my right. You can see the length. I mean, I cannot tell you, we cannot say the length. Sometimes if the sun is too low, it'll be longer. If it's high, it'll be shorter. But these towers are quite tall. They're huge. They're quite tall. And so are these lines. Now the atmosphere will tell you if these lines are open. I don't think these cables are insulated. I think they're insulated. I'm sorry. I don't think they're open because I don't know. I mean, it's like something. It looks like some kind of insulation. That's why it's so thick. So the atmosphere must be differently conducive to, say, probably what they're using in there. If it's copper, or I don't know what they're using to transport that kind of electricity, over here. We don't know what conductive material they're using in that, but it's definitely it's huge. I mean, look at it. It's like huge. So the power comes in from here, comes in, come on computer, comes in from the solar panels and to this distribution center. This distribution center takes it straight to a bigger workplace, a bigger workplace. On the way you may see some odd, I don't know what the hell is it. It looks like an underground thing, and this looks like the roof of it. But yes, so these are vehicles, definitely vehicles, transportation devices, tools or whatever. And this is quite a large building. If you look at the shadow, if you notice the shadow, it's quite a large building. This looks like a lift shaft or something to take the people up and down, so it has to be a multi-storied complex. It's quite large. This is at 20 meters. I mean, you cannot make out to scale, but and then you have the pipelines. We don't know what's going through here. Are they mining, or what are they doing here? We don't know who owns the base. Most probably the United States owns the base. No one has put any markers on it, or maybe the international community are invested over here, but I don't know what they're mining. What are these pipes for? And these pipes take you to this huge production facility. There are coolers in this. I think these are air vents. Yeah, definitely air vents that take in or let out the air that goes out. And like another person, a gentleman who shared the link, also pointed out that there was an SUV somewhere. If you look at it, like there's an SUV. This is the back, whatever, where you load stuff. This is the middle, and this is where the engine is. That is one. There's another, something over there, and I mean, just look at it. It's just crazy. A lot of stuff. This we can identify with because we've seen this over here. Looks like a manufacturing unit. Doesn't look like. I think they're mining stuff over here. And setting up a base for what we do not know. Or maybe some areas have housing, or maybe some areas have housing. Obviously, this looks like the housing area. You have the loading and transportation. probably buses that come here, or SUVs over here. You see my cursor here. And let's go closer. These are some tanks. Yeah, this is the only zoom I can get on this link. Now if we go out of here, oh yeah, forgot to show you communication dish, right? Again, there is a connection here to the grid. The sun is facing that side, the dish is facing this side. I don't know, I don't have the coordinates over here, but it's amazing. Just amazing. It's huge. Look at it, it's huge. Let's take that truck. Let's take this truck. Okay, say it's about 10 feet or 7 feet across, and put that there. Say about 70 feet, or 7 into, say about 20 times a truck, 15 times a truck across. So that's how you can measure this approximately. We're just guessing, It's just an introduction to what we've seen so far. And let's go out of this little patch where we're allowed to see. Wonder why people give names like Yellowknife. Wow, look at this. Awesome. Looks like some, looks like this is at 1 kilometer. For example, this is 1 kilometer from here to here. Let's take the size. Let's see, 1 kilometer. Yeah, so that's 1 kilometer across. So let's take this as 1 kilometer from here to here. And look at it. Now, what the hell is it? It's interesting. It has created a pattern with the wind. The wind has created this pattern. How do we know we have wind here? Okay, let's look. Come on, let's move. Why isn't it moving? Okay, so let's go closer and take a look at the water. Right, this is all underneath. So the water has a pattern. Okay, you can see the pattern. It's a wind on the water. The wind on the water that creates that pattern. This looks like some algae or something. Hope these guys didn't do an oil spill over here, because see, it's red. It's awesome. It's red. Let's talk about life. Does not have to be green always. Well, I'm an MSc. I have my master's in environmental science. I'm going to do my PhD on indigenous knowledge. I'm indigenous to Bombay. So now if you look at it, the sun gives various spectrums of light. If you notice, the sun rays can be broken down into the rainbow, right? The 7 or 9 odd colors. The visible spectrum, and there is the invisible spectrum. So in the visible spectrum, on Earth, green is the only spectrum. There are many spectrums. On Earth, green is the only spectrum of light that is captured by plants, and therefore, emphasizing photosynthesis. Now, a student asked me that what about leaves that are orange, and the maple leaf that's reddish orange? So they still doing their photosynthesis, but they're using that spectrum of light, the warmer light, while trees and other living creatures are using, other plants are using the green spectrum, and certain other plants are using the other spectrums. Now it's amazing over here. I think that the warmer spectrum is being used here by these living organisms. They look like some algae or something, and I'm sure, I don't know, I could be proven wrong, but this is how life on Earth, if you look at, I've been diving, and this is how certain algae behaves, they go in groups, and it's awesome. It's awesome. So finally we get some color. This is not true color. This is never true color. Our eyes, once we go there, will be different. I mean, will reflect different light from the ground. This is what the satellite sees, the lensing on the satellite. So yeah, this is not true color, yeah, but it's closer to, I would say, 20 odd percent to true color. This is in sepia. It's fully black, black and white, grayscale. So now you notice that this amazing pattern, that this is a algae or whatever living underwater and needs this habitat for growth or for sustenance. And we see the water patterns, the wind patterns coming on it. It's just awesome. I want to show you a river. I went from here, I went down here, and here, yeah, this is a river. If you notice, let's go out a bit. It's a crater, yeah, and all of this, since here is where our base was, so we could say all of this area over here could be above water, right? Around here, this is borderline. And all these deeper areas have water. Let's go to this one here and then this one later. Let's go to this one here. Yeah, and again it has a blue marker. Blue markers would obviously symbolize water. Most geologists do that. And only water creates these smooth, rock formations. And if there is sand too, yes. So as we go in closer, we'll notice there is sand too, because there'll be smaller formations. Here we are. So this little crater went to the market. So this crater, yes, awesome. Just look at it. Awesome. This whole here, look at the water pattern. Let's look at the water pattern and look at the sand pattern. You see? So it's been used since quite some time, because sand needs to be, whatever rock needs to be broken down with water movement. Okay, remember, water is alive. Only with water movement that sand breaks down, and as they become smaller particles, the air moves the water on the surface, and the water in turn moves the sand below. These are from external forces like rocks or meteors that has hit. But notice the water pattern, how awesome it is. Guys, we are on Mars. Can you imagine? Yes, and no one has been smoking. And it's really awesome. The wind pattern, it's looking diagonal, so it's like, I don't know if this is north-south. I think it's north-south, but it's awesome. I think the Earth is east-west mostly. Most wind patterns are east-west because sorry, it's all over. I'm sorry. At least for us in Bombay, it's east-west. So awesome. These are above the water, and if you look at it, let's go closer. You can see the water pattern on it. It's hitting. These are waves. Can you imagine? This is at 200 meters. Say 200 meters is this much. These are waves. And only wind creates waves. So there is air out here. If there's water, it evaporates. There has to be an atmosphere because of the sun. And nothing goes into ether, because ether is, the density of ether is way too much, which is space. Outer space is made out of ether. And so it's just awesome. Just look at it. I mean, we have waves on Mars. Yoo-hoo! Thank you, Google, for giving us access. And yes, closer, the water pattern. Look at the waves. And over here, they are actually hitting this mound. See, that's water crumbles like this. They're hitting the mounds. Little currents that has created this underwater channel. You see, a few currents has created this channel. Excuse the focus, please. And So how far is this? This crater is 100 meters. Sorry, 200 meters. 200 meters wide. This crater is 200 meters wide, as according to the indicators given to me by the system. And it's just awesome. All this is underwater. This little patch is above. These are waves. Let's take you ahead over here. This entire crater is underwater. It's awesome. So we saw a kind of organization which we cannot see here. We saw the organization of, I think it's alien, not alien or whatever, the creatures inhabiting this water body. That was, one is that mass of tiny algae or plankton or whatever you may call it, we don't know. And that formation within the waterbed is not around here, if you notice. Remember I showed you that formation earlier? It's not around here. Now it's light. The blue patch is light here because it's shallow. As it goes, it's deeper here. Now how deep, I mean I don't have indicators how deep, but it's quite deep. Yeah, just awesome. So it's actually, there are currents, and it's just awesome what water is doing. And so we were here. Let's go here and see what we can find. Oh, this is all surface, or is this water? I think it's water. Yeah, it is water. These are indicators that it's all underwater. These little marks. Let's get closer. Yes, absolutely. And we notice, we can see the water, the wind creating the ripples on the water. Lots of ripples on the water. Now people say, why is it not acid? And we do not know. We do not know anything. But it looks like water because acid does not stay long in one area. It would change. It would have a transition. It would mix with the atmosphere and form a fog or something because of the sun. So it's not acid. It has to be water. Water is stable. Water has gravity, so it stays on. It sticks on. Yeah, all this is underwater, and it's awesome. And you can make out that it's breaking away from the mainland. I saw something quite strange over here. No, I'll try and record this with an HD also on my 7D or something. Yeah, it's fun. Yes, all this is water. How do we know it? Let's take a look at the water ripples. Interesting. It looks sandy also because water is moving those particles around. So that's there. So we were in this crater called Gale. This crater is called Gale. Let's see what Google says. Data, Mars. No, there's no Gale. But yeah, this crater is called Gale. So we were in Gale. Now when we move out of Gale, can you see all of this? I'm sure these are rivers. These are rivers. Has to be an ocean somewhere. Has to be an ocean. We need more data. It looks like this is the ocean because the patterns are different. Let's go on. No, I don't know. We don't know. So yeah, welcome to Mars. Is this a pyramid? It looks like a pyramid. Oh no, it's like a huge mound. There's a shadow here. Oh, all these patches have been explored. Let's go to one of them. This looks like a mountain or something. They don't have plates, tectonic plates for it to move. And this is your river. It has to be a river. Let's go closer and have a look. Oh, internet speed. No signs. Maybe an ancient river, who knows, because it has a path. Water is alive. Water likes to do this zigzag thing. Yeah, it must have been an older river. Yeah, we're lost in Mars. Oh yeah, I wanted to show you a system. Not an anomaly, but something that's a bit different. Where were we? My memory. We were in. Gaia. What the hell? Okay, we were in. What's the name of the crater? Memory loss thanks to the tower and cell phone magnetic towers. We were in Gale, absolutely. So this is Gale, and let's go out and look. Keep a visual of what's around. Okay, so next to Gale, I think we saw a triangular shape. Anyways, so go out here and discover for yourself. Enjoy Mars, courtesy Google. And yeah, so Luke Mendes signing off. I wish I could find more, and I'm just recording this for posterity. I will share it on my channel. Hope you guys like it, or can comment or whatever. Do what you do. Thanks.